All right, let's jump right into it. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're taking a standard structured French lesson on travel, Leçon 5, les voyages, and completely transforming it. We're turning it into an immersive, real-world survival guide for your very next global adventure. If you're someone who really loves to learn efficiently and you actually want to use what you study out there in the real world, well, you are absolutely in the right place. Today, we aren't just sitting around memorizing vocabulary. Nope, we are packing our bags, we're navigating train stations, and we're sending postcards, all while seamlessly picking up some of the absolute most essential grammar in the entire French language. To really wrap our heads around the stakes here, let's follow Rita's Tour du Monde, her incredibly ambitious around-the-world trip. Imagine this. She's starting off in Montreal, heading over to Paris to see the Eiffel Tower, then flying across to Mexico City to visit the Aztec temples. After that, she's hopping up to New York for the Statue of Liberty and finally making her way all the way to Chennai in India before catching a bus to Oroville. The takeaway here, French isn't just for ordering croissants in a Parisian cafe. It's an incredibly powerful global tool that can literally help you navigate across continents. Okay, so here is our roadmap for the trip. 1. Planning your world tour. 2. Choosing your transport. 3. Booking at the station. 4. Greetings from abroad. 5. Mastering the past tense. And finally, 6. Reviewing your journey. Let's get going. Starting with Section 1, Planning Your World Tour. We're kicking off the first phase of our journey by tackling the very first hurdle of literally any trip, which is explaining where on Earth we're actually going. Before you even buy a ticket, you have to know how to state your destination correctly. And honestly, this perfectly illustrates one of the trickiest little quirks of French geographical prepositions. Basically, French categorizes countries by gender and number. If a country is masculine, like Canada or Mali, you're going to use au, so au Canada. If it's feminine, like France or India, you use en France, en Inde. And if it's plural, like the United States or the West Indies, you use au with an X, aux États-Unis. Master this little puzzle, and I promise you'll instantly sound way more like a seasoned traveler and far less like a tourist squinting at a phrase book. So we know exactly where we're going, but how are we physically getting there? That brings us right to Section 2, choosing your transport. Okay, this is actually one of my absolute favorite grammar hacks because the rule of thumb is just brilliantly simple. In English, we say we travel by car or on foot. In French, you essentially have two main options, en and à. Here's the trick. If you go physically inside the vehicle, like a bus, a plane, or a car, you use en. So en bus, en avion, en voiture. But if you ride on top of it, or you're just using your own 2 feet, you use à. So à pied for walking, à vélo for cycling, or à moto for a motorcycle. Just keep that visual in mind, inside versus on top, and you will literally never mix these up again. Now that we've got our prepositions down, let's put them into action. Welcome to Section 3, Booking at the Station. Time to head to the SNCF train station and buy those tickets. If you have ever stood at a ticket counter in a foreign country while a long line of impatient locals glares at the back of your head, you know exactly how stressful it can be. But don't worry, there's a precise 4-step process to save you. First, state your destination clearly. Je voudrais aller à Marseille. Second, give your date, le 12 décembre. Third, specify the ticket type, and this is absolutely vital. Do you want an aller simple, which is a one-way ticket, or an aller-retour, a round trip? Finally, pick your class, première ou seconde. Just memorize these 4 steps, and you're going to navigate any French ticket counter with total confidence. And by the way, here is exactly why paying attention to this specific vocabulary literally pays off. Our source material highlights promotional info from the SNCF, the French National Railway. If you know the right terms, like asking for a youth discount or a carte enfant, you can unlock massive savings. We're talking about children and young adults under 25 getting up to 50% off their train fares. That is a massive chunk of change. See? Good grammar doesn't just make you sound smart, it literally keeps cash in your pocket. All right, let's fast forward a bit. We've planned the trip, we booked the tickets, and now we are officially on vacation. Time for Section 4, Greetings from Abroad. You know, writing postcards perfectly captures the beautifully diverse experiences of traveling the Francophone world. Imagine a postcard from Senegal where a traveler might write, Il fait très chaud. It is very hot, describing long days at the sun-soaked beach. Now contrast that with a note from a modern, charming Montreal, or a dispatch from Paris, where the writer sighs and notes the weather is très parisien, very Parisian. And what exactly does that mean? Ciel gris, pluie et vent frais. Gray skies, rain, and cool wind. It's such a fantastic, relatable way to learn weather vocabulary by tying it directly to real travel experiences. While we're talking about real-world communication, we absolutely need to highlight this crucial grammar spotlight. Often, standard textbook French just teaches you the basic present tense, right? But conversational French uses very specific phrases to express immediate action versus a desire. If you want to say you were in the very middle of doing something right now, you use être en train de plus an infinitive. For instance, je suis en train de faire mes devoirs. I'm in the middle of doing my homework. But if you're craving something, you use avoir envie de. Like, j'ai envie de jouer au football. I want to play soccer. Nailing the subtle difference, it takes you from sounding like a textbook to sounding like a native speaker. Alas, every vacation must eventually come to an end. We are back home unpacking, which brings us to section 5, mastering the past tense. It is time to recount our wild adventures using the passé composé. Now, this concept beautifully demystifies what is arguably the biggest hurdle in French grammar. The passé composé, the past tense, requires a helper verb. Most of the time, that helper is avoir, to have. So, nous avons mangé means we ate. Simple enough, right? But for a very specific group of verbs, mostly ones dealing with movement or a change of state, like arriving, leaving, going, or coming, you have to use être, to be, as your helper verb. For example, elle est arrivée, meaning she arrived. Grasping this dual nature of the French past tense is absolutely the key to telling your travel stories correctly without missing a beat. Of course, no language would be complete without its rule breakers, right? There are irregular past participles that you simply have to memorize. But the text actually gives us a really elegant historical way to practice them. It uses the biography of the highly influential Indian poet Rabindranath Tagore. To talk about his life timeline, we use the irregular participle for being born, né, and for dying, mort. So we'd say he was born, né, in 1861, and died, mort, in 1941. It's just a brilliant way to apply rigid grammar rules to highly interesting real-world historical facts. Wow, we have covered a serious amount of ground today. Let's wrap up our grammatical world tour in section 6, reviewing your journey. From the completely iconic Eiffel Tower in Paris all the way to the majestic Taj Mahal in India, this journey really celebrates everything we've learned in today's explainer. We started out by stating that French is a global language, and I think our vocabulary journey completely proved it. Whether you are navigating the chaotic metro in Paris, discussing geography in a warm cafe in Senegal, or describing the beautiful monuments of India on your postcards, the structures you've learned today apply universally. You are officially no longer confined to just saying bonjour and hoping for the best. So I'm going to leave you with this direct question, drawn straight from our source material. Où voulez-vous partir? Where do you want to go? Think about it. You now have the prepositions to confidently declare your destination, the transport vocabulary to actually get there, the station know-how to book your tickets like a pro, and the past tense to brag about it all to everyone when you return. The world is quite literally yours to explore. So, pull out a map, use these newly structured rules, and start planning your own real-world adventure. What's holding you back? Until next time, happy travels and keep learning.